All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andy Cook. I'm the Executive Director at Made in Baltimore. I'm joined by Brian Seymour, our Program Manager. You want to say hello? That's Brian. He's up in the corner on my screen. We are here today to provide information about the Home Run Accelerator 2023 edition. Home Run Accelerator is a project that we created 2 years ago, or ran for the first time 2 years ago in 2021. The goal of the program is to help makers and home-based makers and folks using maker spaces to run their businesses scale up into their own commercial production space. So that's the purpose of today's session. And with that, I am going to start sharing my screen and run through a slide presentation. There'll be a short video and then time for Q&A at the end. Okie doke. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. All right, so here we are, Home Run Accelerator info session, and I am going to hand it over to Brian to walk us through the first few slides.
All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Brian Seymour, the Program Manager for the Made in Baltimore program. Today, we'll be, of course, discussing key dates, who should apply, who our instruction team will be, the intended outcomes of the program, financial incentives of the program, and then we will, again, like Andy said, we'll be making some time at the end for a short Q&A. All right, some really big key dates for this are, of course, the application deadline, that is March 26th, orientation day, which will be May 6th, letting you know when the master classes will be, Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. That's May through June, as well as the amazing neighborhood tours that will come with this. Those will be through June and August. And in September, you graduate. Okay, so who should apply? The Home Run Accelerator will set up 12 entrepreneurs to participate with strong emphasis on women, and people of color. To be eligible, a business must, one, either hold Made in Baltimore business certification or meet the requirements for certification. So that really includes making a physical product in Baltimore City. Not just designing, you actually make this product here in Baltimore City. And that you currently are in good standing with the State Department of Assessments and Taxation, or SDAT, meaning that your business is registered with the state of Maryland. Confirm your desire and intention to scale into commercial or industrial space within the next calendar year. So for those who are at the point of saying, hey, I can't be in my house anymore, I'm at a maker space and I am bursting at the seams and I am ready to move into my first commercial space, this is for you. And also currently be based out of your home or shared makerspace at the time of application. So if you have already scaled into your commercial space, number one, congratulations. But this program may not necessarily be for you. You actually might be past what we may have to offer you and might be ready for more. And also, lastly, have been in a business entity in existence for a minimum of 18 months. So if you just started yesterday, sorry, but this may not be for you.
Something we wanted to do was showcase one of our alum from last time around, from 2021. So we're going to quickly share a video that profiles one of the folks, let's see here, from our last cohort. Let me pull this up. Everyone can see our video screen, I hope.
I'm Todd.
I'm Nichelle.
And we are Treehouse Juicery.
We're an online cold pressed juice bar.
And we create and manufacture delicious cold pressed juices. I was in college and I was dealing with multiple health issues such as obesity, hypertension, and I just wanted to change. The business began November 16th, 2016. That day it was like we were trailblazing. So we felt like we were on a new path. So we were excited, we were humble, but we were ready to to make some changes.
Inspiring people to be healthy, young Black people to actually be interested in something like juicing, and knowing that it doesn't have to taste nasty, that it can be something healthy but also really delicious.
So our juice is all natural, no preservatives, no added sugars, no sweeteners, no water added. So you're getting the pure, fresh juice, and it's filled with electrolytes, nutrients, and enzymes to help nourish your body. And having a nourished body will give you a nourished mind and help you go about the day a little easier.
We are Treehouse Juicery, and we are made in Baltimore.
I'm Todd.
So real quick introduction to Treehouse Juicery. Treehouse Juicery, Todd and Nichelle did an incredible job with the program and are actually about to open a storefront and production facility for their cold pressed juice company in Station North neighborhood. Really excited about and looking forward to that. For folks that may have just joined us, I want to ask you to please mute yourselves so that we can continue the conversation. And also just note that that video was produced during the last cohort in 2021. That's an added benefit of this program. We do have a documentary team that's going to be producing short videos about our cohort as well that y'all can use for your own promotional and marketing purposes. So next we wanted to cover exactly how we're going to be selecting the businesses in the program. So this is the rubric we're going to be using. Everything, all applications will be reviewed by a panel consisting of staff from Made in Baltimore as well as the Baltimore Development Corporation. Made in Baltimore is a program of the Baltimore Development Corporation, our city's economic development agency. And all the applications will be ranked based on this rubric that you see in front of you. So we're looking at folks' demonstrated need for growth of physical space. This will be explained in the application. There's a few spots where you can talk about your need for growth and describe that to us. So please, we ask folks, a 10-point answer is pretty specific about what the limitations you're experiencing are and what new space is going to allow you to do. We're looking for demonstrated business viability. So I want to make sure that you have indeed been in business for at least 18 months and you've been making some money. We don't have any kind of revenue cutoffs, but we want to just see that money is being generated and also that your projections for how you hope to grow seem realistic. So as an example, someone that was making, I don't know, we'll say $10,000 last year and plans to make $15,000 next year seems very realistic. If you made $100 last year and you want to make $100,000 next year, that might raise some eyebrows. So we're asking folks to really think pretty hard about, how they've been doing and how they intend to grow. That of course falls under the viability of your short and long-term growth plans, which will both be again answered in questions in the application itself. We do require a letter of recommendation, and this letter of recommendation ideally would come from someone that knows you in the context of your business as either a customer, a collaborator, a mentor, something of that nature. So a strong recommendation is someone that's worked with you and can speak to your drive, your abilities as a business owner. A not so great letter of recommendation might come from like a family member or a partner that just says, oh, this is a great, so-and-so's a great person and I really believe in them. We're looking for someone that can speak to your ability to run the business. And lastly, we are making, the program is really designed specifically to support women and minority-owned businesses in Baltimore City. We do not require it, but if you are one of those business types, it does earn you additional points on the application. So it's a total of 50 points available, and staff is going to rank everybody based on that. Every application will be viewed by at least 3 staff, and the average score that everyone receives from those 3 staff will be what's used as the final score. Let's see. Our instruction team. So we have assembled what we think of as some of the rock stars of the Made in Baltimore network. All 6 of these instructors have themselves started a business at home and scaled it up into a commercial or industrial production space. So everyone here has done what the cohort is hoping to do, so they can speak from personal experience. We've also selected them each for their experience in different industry sectors. We find that the folks in Made in Baltimore tend to fall into these categories kind of largely writ, from skin and hair care products, stationery, clothing and accessories, food and beverage, home goods, and other types of gift items you might find in a retail store. So each one of these instructors has a particular expertise in both those industries, but they also have expertise within their business operations. So we're going to have a lot of bases covered in this instruction team. The way that the cohort will have access to them is in the first 8 weeks of the program, we're running what we're calling master classes. Brian alluded to those. That's the Wednesday nights in May and June. Each master class will be taught by one of these 6 instructors, where we'll have a couple additional ones focused on real estate and access to capital as well. But each of our peer mentors will lead one master class, and over that 8 weeks, you'll get to know these instructors kind of in an introductory way. They will then be available to the cohort for 3 months following that. And in fact, it is a requirement that you meet with at least 2 of these people each month in June, July, and August. And the idea is that you will lean on them to run ideas past them, look for good tips and tricks for running the business, recommendations, basically like get all the wisdom and knowledge you can from these peer mentors in that span of time. So here's some of our intended outcomes. We're really hoping that this program primarily increases the business acumen of the participants. You're learning about tools and resources specifically for scaling. There are really only 2 deliverables for the cohort. We're going to have everyone complete a business model canvas, which is essentially a kind of a really condensed business plan that sort of outlines how your business operates, as well as a plan for growth. That will be a couple-page document that outlines the primary goals that you have for growing your business and how you will reach those goals. As I mentioned, everyone will be receiving guidance from the peer mentors, specifically around how to implement that plan. We'll also be touring available real estate in 5 neighborhoods throughout the city. So in those tours, the goal is both to identify these locations, but also meet landlords, meet developers, meet other real estate professionals that can help increase your network as you begin your search for future space. And finally, we want everyone to receive some financial support. I'm going to ask everybody to mute themselves.
But all of them, especially Bank of America, they told me
Okay.
they have only 2 kinds of wiring. One is domestic, one is international.
All right. I can hear someone, and I'm going to ask them to mute
But
themselves.
hopefully they're going to reach today.
Hopefully today.
Yeah.
Did the title company say anything?
Yeah, they said.
Excuse me,
Like,
folks.
was there any? Because I know as long as it's not rejected, it should be fine. Like
Well,
rejected by the title.
Okay.
Yeah, but they say they rejected on some kinds of trans.
Okie doke. I think I was able to mute them. All right. So, yes, the last one is receiving some financial support to strengthen your business, both e-commerce as well as costs associated with moving into a new space. So, in order for everyone, here's the requirements in order to graduate. And graduation just means that you've done all the things, and graduation is required for accessing those funds. So everyone must attend the program orientation on May 6th. This is a Saturday, and it is usually about a 4 to 5 hour affair where we kind of do a deep dive, getting everyone acquainted with each other in the cohort, meeting the peer mentors for the first time, and doing some visioning for the course of the next 5 months. Everyone must attend a minimum of 6 of the 8 master classes. We recognize that life happens and not everyone's always available every week for 8 weeks, but we do require that everyone at least shows up 6 times out of 8. Everyone's going to need to complete that business model canvas and that draft plan for growth by the end of the first 8 weeks. The reason we have you do a draft is that you complete the final plan for your growth after you've attended the peer mentor meetings between June and August. We ask that everyone attend a minimum of 3 out of the 5 neighborhood tours. Those will be scheduled during weekdays and with plenty of advance notice so people can make arrangements to be available for those. And finally, you complete your final plan for growth by the end of August. All of these things are going to be required in order to get the final grant award for your capital improvements. Speaking of, the financial incentives tied to the program are 2. The first is a $5,000 award for e-commerce improvements, and this is awarded upon completion of the master classes in June. The idea here is that everyone gets some amount of money to beef up their online sales, and as they are planning to grow out into a physical space, which will inevitably increase your overhead. So we want to make sure that we kind of like start that path before folks are even making those moves. The second award, up to $5,000, specifically for physical improvements or equipment for a new space that you may be moving into. This is awarded in September upon graduation. Now, we don't expect that everyone is going to have a space identified in September that they want to move into. Some might. And in those cases, there is a certain amount of wait period where you can apply later after the program is ended. But we can also accept those applications for things like equipment that maybe you would be using still in your home space or a shared space until you find a suitable location. For each award, participants are going to need to submit a proposed use of funds before receiving the award. That's basically telling us what you intend to spend it on, as well as an expense report with documentation, that's receipts, within 6 months after receiving the award. This is really a requirement for our own funders to make sure that we can tell them we're spending the money appropriately. Let's see, that is, I believe, the last of it. This QR code you see on the screen is a link directly to the application for those that are interested in starting that application today. We are, of course, willing to take questions beyond this session. You see Brian's contact information up there, and of course our website at the bottom of the screen, should anyone want to learn more broadly about the program. I will leave this up for another couple seconds for folks to get that QR code, and then I'm going to stop sharing the screen and open the floor up for Q&A. So if anyone's going to hit that QR code, do it in 5, 4, 3, 2. I see somebody working on it. We are, of course, going to make this slide deck available after the fact. So if anyone just needs to get that application again, no worries. I'm going to stop sharing. Okie doke. So that is it for our presentation. We're now able to open the floor up to questions. I think the best way to do it is to ask folks to raise their hands using the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and we'll call on folks as we see them come up.
Yeah, and if I responded to your question in DM and you want more clarification, please feel free to raise your hand and react to the question out loud.
Rather, if I may have some photos, please. The egregious thing that I came to find after the job was done, I came to find that writing room chairs, as you'll see right there, were destroyed by Chris.
Okay. Was that someone asking a question? I'm sorry, I just muted Susan if she was. I'm going to start with the first hand that I see up, and that is Jasmine.
Hello, I have a question about the orientation.
Mm-hmm.
Would it possibly be open to an online availability. There's Telston Spring Festival that I have a conflict with. Unfortunately, the start time is extremely early and they end extremely late. So that was just my question.
We currently do not have a plan for a virtual way to join, and we can look into that if there are real needs there. But this is a pretty interactive event where people are kind of breaking out into smaller groups and moving around. We host this actually outdoors, assuming weather permitting, and so it sort of moves around a little bit. But good to know that there is a conflict on that day that some folks might be participating in, and we can look at that a little bit harder if it becomes a barrier for a lot of people.
I believe our house is also having their festival that day too. Greater Goods.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to know. Thank you very much. We might have to look into that.
No problem.
It can be difficult to work around all the different planned activities in town, but we'll do our best.
No, I completely understand. Thank you for answering my question.
Sure thing. The next person I see is Alicia. Alicia Pearson, do you have a question?
Alicia, sorry about
Alicia.
that.
Yeah.
I was trying to navigate the screen. I was reaching out because I'm primarily a service-based business, meaning like I do workshops and things like that. I do plan on expanding into merch, but would that hold me back in the application process?
Likely, yes. I'm sorry to say. So
Okay.
to zoom out a little bit, Made in Baltimore, our mission is growing jobs and businesses in light manufacturing in Baltimore City. So the kind of like reason behind the program is that we want to see the manufacturing sector grow here in town, which is why we kind of laser focus on product-based businesses. There may be other ways that the program can support you in that move to expand into merch, as you described, but we are specifically seeking companies that are already a product-based business.
Okie dokie. Thank you for your honesty.
Of course. Thank you for your question. The next hand that I see up is Shantae. And it looks like Shantae, you're still on mute.
Okay, I'll
There.
mute it myself. Sorry, I was typing and I was asking a question saying that did I raise my hand more than 3 times? I was trying to figure it out if I did or not. If I did or not. My question is, so I have my business is kind of unique. It's not your traditional one thing. I'm like out of space out of my house. It's like a whole manufacturing been running here, from sewing to crafting to 3D printing to sublimation. Like it's a butt soap make is like a lot. So I guess that's something I would have to bring together to put I guess into, you said the plan as far as my major question is 2 things. One is the Made in Baltimore, showing that because I have my brand, I have it says certificate to show your marketers or manufacturer certificate. So like I have customized things that I am working on trying to get branded. But they have my name on them. So I wasn't for sure about the Made in Baltimore certificate part. Like how do you go about to get that?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, Brian, do you want to take that question?
Yes, sorry, the sneeze had me in a chokehold. Yes, in order to get a Made in Baltimore certification, you would have to visit our website and apply under the Our Members section. Dropping the link right now as we speak. And with that link, what you do is fill out a short application. We'll reach out to you to do a site visit, and then from there we will determine whether or not you meet the requirements of certification for the program.
Okay, so do you do the certification first before I apply for the application? The application deadline is next week. So do I do that first before applying, or
So if you qualify, if I would say apply now, but if you have a preliminary qualification, then you're still good to apply. Please apply.
Okay, so the link is where? I saw something pop up and then it went away.
So we we had a QR code on the screen for you to use.
I did that. Yep.
Okay. So that's the application.
Okay, so that's the application for the certification or for
No.
the.
No, so the link that's the application for the program. The link I just dropped in the chat that I can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The link.
Yes,
Yeah,
this is to get a Made in Baltimore certification.
Okay, all right. Yep.
I'll just mention that the Made in Baltimore business certification is completely free. You just have to meet those requirements and complete the application. And as Brian was saying, if you just have that application in for the certification ahead of the HRA deadline, that's enough. Going through the certification process requires a couple steps and can take a few weeks. We're not going to hold anybody back because they haven't gone through that process yet.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing. Let's see. I see the next hand up, Tiara.
Yeah. So I kind of had the same issue as Alicia. So my business is more service-based as well. However, my expansion includes hiring people. So I am a staffing and recruitment firm, and of course I can't do everything by myself. So my goal is to start expanding and hiring additional individuals in order to run my business more effectively. And a lot of my business is done out of Baltimore and out of the state of Maryland. So I just wanted to know, like, would there be a conflict too? Like, should I even bother to apply, or no, even though I am planning on expanding and moving into a facility and employees?
Yeah, so again, we are only accepting product-based businesses, so those that would consider themselves a maker or a manufacturer. I will say if you're on this call and find yourself in that situation, there's a number of different programs being launched this spring for all types of businesses. We're just one of them. And a lot of those are going to be on display next week at Impact Hub, which is hosting a spring program preview for programs supporting small businesses in the city. I don't know, Brian, would it be possible can you find that link and drop that in the chat as well?
Can you, for the info session at Impact Hub next Wednesday?
Correct. Yeah, It was in our newsletter this morning.
Yeah, give me one moment.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. The next hand I see up is Ashley Smith.
Hi. I just had a question about the recommendation letter. Should it be directed to anybody in general or just to whom it may concern?
Oh yeah, to Made in Baltimore, whom it may concern. Doesn't matter who it's addressed to.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Sure thing, no worries. The next hand I see up is just labeled iPad. Who is iPad?
Yeah, that's me. It's
Great.
Miriam. Hi.
Hello.
Hold on, I'll put video on. Okay. Yeah. Hi. So this is my question. I mean, I'm like at the very beginning of like an idea stage. So I'm just kind of here to like just think about the future and future plans. Isn't there like an entrepreneurs get together at the end of the month in one of the oh gosh, not Made in Baltimore, but at Makerspace? So like, do you know anything about like when you're just really a micro business and you're not quite there yet? Isn't there like, aren't there get-togethers at the end of the month, or have they stopped that over there? And I'm not sure how you guys are affiliated with the Makerspace.
So I think I believe you were covering your microphone during that question, but I think what I heard you say was that looking for an event at the end of the month. I'm not quite sure what that might be, but the one that we're going to drop the link in the chat for at Impact Hub is next week. I want to say March 15th. That's the only one I'm aware of. But there are groups, like maker spaces in town, like Open Works or the Station North Tool Library or Baltimore Clay Works, that do have those types of events. We can look around and see if I can find anything in our lists about any of that. But I think
I think that's what I was referring to, the Open Works,
Okay.
because I've gone to their events over there, and I, have thought about like ways in which I could use that space to begin, do the business or grow a business. But I guess that was really the question. Like when you're just like a little teensy weensy idea, you're like in the, you're just in the baby stages, you're about to get your LLC, like that.
Yeah.
Like, is there a way to like connect with people that are like just as tiny as you are, that you're not quite a Made in Baltimore,
Yes.
you're not on that Made in Baltimore path quite yet.
Correct. Yes. So there will be a few programs for that stage of business featured at next week's spring program preview. One that I know of off the top of my head is called Scale Your Passion, and it's being run by a group called the Baltimore Creatives Accelerator Network, or BCAN, and that's specifically for very early stage or idea stage businesses.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And will you provide us with information for how we can connect them?
Yes, Brian just dropped the link in the chat for that spring program preview. So
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. The next hand I see up is Talia Alpern.
Hi, can you hear me, Andy?
Yes.
Cool. I'm just wondering if you can expound a little bit on regarding that initial $5,000 e-commerce funding that's provided. Outside of utilizing those funds for like marketing or advertising or like scaling visibility of your e-commerce site, can those funds also be allocated for investing in more product or product enhancement or such? Like, are there specific restrictions around the way that money is utilized?
There are, and that's because of the source of funds where it comes from. So the funding behind that particular grant is specifically for e-commerce and telework activities, which is why it's sort of narrowly defined that way. The ways that the last group used it included the things that you mentioned: marketing, advertising, hiring web developers, hiring graphic designers, product photography, videography, any kind of like content that might appear on your website or social media would qualify. And that could be, it could even be like equipment for producing that content, like getting a camera or a laptop or something like that. But it would not, things like inventory or raw materials for product production would not qualify for that grant.
Okay, got you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course. The next hand I see up is Ashley Huff.
Hello.
Hello.
So for my brand, it's a Baltimore-based brand. I'm also already a Made in Baltimore member, but in regards to some of my products and with like recent picking up of and scaling, I have to, and also some of my resources that I had in the past that were in the city are gone now. So a lot of products that I have to, I make clothing. So a lot of stuff I have to start outsourcing from like colleagues I have in like Pennsylvania. As far as getting transfers, I still make all products here and like press everything. Currently working out of my home with the heat press. But as far as like outsourcing, I would say like the transfers that are going on the clothing, would I still be able to apply for this?
Yes, the answer is yes. So we define like making and manufacturing pretty broadly because we recognize that, there's a lot of barriers to like fully producing a product, here in the city. We simply don't have the infrastructure around here to be like making every item of clothing from scratch. So if you're producing your product in whole or in part, and in part could mean embellishment like heat transfers or screen printing or embroidery or that kind of thing for clothing, that still counts.
Thank you. And somebody actually, I'm the owner of Love More, Be More. Somebody just messaged me. So
great.
Thank you.
Cool. The next hand I see up is Teresa.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for this presentation. My question is about the scale to commercial industrial space and the award around the physical improvements. So is it the expectation that the entrepreneurs that are selected would be moving into a new space, or would the award be able to be used for equipment to have a presence in a new space or multiple spaces throughout the city?
The answer is yes to both. So again, let's see. Our last cohort graduated in September 2021, and several of them are still moving into space. They're still finding spaces, still moving into it, and we're still supporting them in that effort. So the folks that go through the program will receive our support in an ongoing way. So we recognize that it won't be an immediate leap for everybody as soon as, like, September comes, they're going to be moving somewhere. It can take longer than that. So that's why we say that the capital improvements grant can be used for equipment that will help you scale up in a new space when you're ready for that.
Okay, thank you.
The next hand I see up is Shuna Smith.
Hey, Andy, quick
Hello.
question. Hey, question. So for the $5,000 space portion of the grant, what happens if you find a space maybe before, or like, before the program is over? Is it still cool to, like, would you still be able to grant that? Or is it like kind of that you have to finish this, kind of like, does it have to go through you guys in terms of helping to find a space, or it doesn't matter?
So no, it doesn't have to go through us in terms of finding a space. In fact, we encourage everybody, we're trying to like make the connection so folks can, pursue that on their own. You will need to complete all the requirements for graduating in order to receive that last $5,000. So no one could receive that prior to, I guess, the third tour. If you're able to like get your plan for growth together early, meet with the peer mentors, enough meetings with peer mentors, and attend at least 3 of those 5 tours, then you'd be eligible. But for the most part, folks won't have hit that mark until September.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. And I think you answered all the rest of my questions through other people, but thanks.
Okay, sure thing. And if you find a space before September as well, if you're willing to complete the program and, do those next steps, which we think will still be helpful, of course, you'd be eligible to apply for that award in September.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
The next hand I see up is Samantha. Hello, Samantha.
Hi, Andy. My question is, I don't think anyone's asked just yet. I'm wondering if I'm not ready to have a brick and mortar. I'm wondering, but I've always wanted to do one of your Accelerator or Cohort programs. I'm just wondering, is that strictly for someone looking for commercial space? Or is this about just also helping you to just scale up your business?
Yeah, it is. We are trying to be very focused on folks that want to move into a new space. And we don't put a timeline on it. So we say that, we're taking people that have the intention of doing that within the next calendar year. As I mentioned, roughly half of the group from the last cohort is still looking, and it's been 2 years. So one outcome of the program for some is they go through it, they meet with the peer mentors, and they learn that actually they thought they were ready and they weren't ready. And the learning is like how to make better use of the space they currently have to grow their business without taking on that additional overhead. That's a fine outcome. But we are asking, I describe the mission of Made in Baltimore as wanting to grow jobs and businesses in light manufacturing. The mission of this particular program is really to increase the physical footprint of manufacturing in the city, and to help these businesses get to a point where they can really expand their operations. So we are looking specifically for folks that have that real estate desire.
What about someone that maybe a partnership with 2 or 3 other local small business owners?
Oh yeah, we've
or
seen
like a production space as well.
We have seen that. In fact, I think that describes at least 3 of our graduates from the last cohort who have gotten together with a couple businesses to open a new space.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure thing. The next hand I see up is Sashane. Hello, Sashane.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Oh, wait. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Hi. So I have a couple of questions. I guess the first thing I'm curious about is this is pertaining specifically to questions on the application.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. I have 3 questions, so I apologize. I hope I'll be quick. So I wanted you, I'm looking at the line that says, do tell of the relevant experience in managing a commercial location. And I wanted to know if you could help me understand that by giving me 3 examples of what a specific transferable skill might look like if you haven't managed a commercial property before. And you said, list transferable skills. What could 2 or 3 of those transferable skills look like that would obviously resonate?
Sure. Yeah, what we're looking for is basically a sense that you understand what it takes to run a space. So perhaps you've been an employee. I'm just like making stuff up, but maybe you've like worked at a restaurant and you got a sense of like, the cleaning schedule, the trash hauling requirements,
Sure.
the health code requirements, those sorts of things. It can be it doesn't have to be managerial experience. It can be work experience in which you've just gotten a sense of like what the kind of parameters are, the requirements are for doing this. Because what we're really looking for is folks that are, have some level of preparedness to do this and understanding that when you take on a space, you're taking on a host of other responsibilities outside of just running your business. You kind of become a property manager in a certain way. So we're just looking for an understanding of that.
Okay, and transferable, as you said.
Correct.
Is that a part of the scaling evaluation that's there, whatever 10 points in whichever section or whatever, is this a separate component?
That one, I'd have to look back at the list again, but I believe that one would fall under probably
One of the first 2?
I think one of the first 2, yes.
Okay, I see 10 points in there. So and based on what I see, based on you got about 5 checkpoints that you went through at the beginning of the presentation, 2 large categories that are more narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest are, not. So when I see these other questions here on the application, it seems that some of them are falling in the narrative section without necessarily being so obvious, which is why I'm curious as to what weight they possibly carry in this 10-point matter.
For looking at both the kind of stated need and ability to grow, that's sort of drawing from answers from several of the questions on the application. The rubric doesn't line up one-to-one with the questions on the application. Some of them we kind of like create a picture from your answers from 2 or 3 questions.
Okay, because I always get curious about it. I'm like, okay, what's 3 points, 4 points, 5 points? What is what? And I guess that's why, at least to my next question, which I often wonder about in terms of a weight or a value. When you help me understand, when you say what's your unique value proposition, what does that look like, and what have you seen in the past as to defining a unique value proposition?
Basically, it's what makes your business stand out. We're looking for, in that way, kind of an elevator pitch. How are you different from any other like bakery in town? How are you different from any other clothing brand? Just something that shows us that you can identify like what makes your business special and and in demand.
Okay. And my last question is regarding, and maybe I should know this in all the crap that I have in my head, but revenue model. So you're asking to state a particular revenue model. Can you present a guide as to where do I go give Paul Taylor a call and say, hey, Paul, give me a one-sheeter, or do I go look this up on the web as to a revenue model if I haven't yet specifically identified what mine is currently?
No, we're really just looking at like, are you primarily selling online through your website? Are you primarily selling at craft shows? Are you doing wholesale? We're looking for just like where, what are the kind of
Outlet.
revenue streams that your business has, just so that we have a sense of, your understanding and kind of level of sophistication with that.
Okay. And as you said, to your point, there's no rubric per se, but there are three folks that are going to be reviewing answers and then kind of coming together on this point system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Scary, but awesome.
And everyone on the panel is, they're there because they work with a lot of small businesses
For sure.
and have seen a lot of different businesses at different stages.
And I just have to say, and lastly, this is so exciting. I've said that to you already, but just publicly,
Great.
really excited about this. So thanks
course.
again that you guys are doing this once more.
Of course, yeah, we're happy to do it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but before we move forward, I just really want to like kind of just take a second to like reset us a little bit, and just sort of make sure that everyone understands like this. I don't want anyone going into this application and then seeing just one question and being like, oh well, I don't know if I amount enough to this, and now you've decided that you don't want to apply. This is going to be a 5-month program. And we're asking that you move into a space within the next calendar year. There is so much that happens in between that time. I'm telling you, no matter how you feel about where you're at right now, no matter how you feel about where you're going, you have time. If you feel like at this moment, things aren't where you feel like they should be, apply. You have time. You have resources to get things together, and you're going to have a team of people solely dedicated to helping you attack and achieve this goal. So don't get intimidated by the application. If you have more questions, again, I will drop my email in the chat. I will answer every single question you have. But don't look at the application and feel like it's bigger than you. It's not bigger than you. It's cool. You're good. Apply. You never know. You never know.
I appreciate that, Brian. That 100%. When in doubt, definitely just apply anyway. We had several folks in the last cohort that were in that boat, and they're like, oh, I really didn't think I was ready, but I did it anyway, and they got in, and they both brought a lot to the program and got a lot out of the program. So, yeah, it's highly encourage everyone, even as Brian said, even if there's things that seem a little intimidating in there, just do it anyway.
Yeah, one of our alumni just moved into a 70,000 square foot space. A lot can happen. Don't sell yourself short, please.
There's 4 or 5 hands raised right now, and I'm not sure if they're new questions or they just left their hands up. Looks like Shauna, you've got a new question.
Yeah, I have a new question.
Okay.
So, oh snap, my question. Hold on. Wait a minute. So I can't even remember what my question was, but I want to say that I think that the last lady who was speaking, she's speaking of application questions that's not on your application, because I'm in a couple different applications now too. You guys don't ask about a revenue model, to my knowledge. So that's on another application, if I'm correct, because I just went back through it. So if that scared anyone, that's on a whole nother application, because just like Andy said, there is a lot of stuff that's happening right now. So she might have gotten that one confused, because I don't see that on you guys' application, but I do know it's on another application regarding the revenue model.
Actually, it is listed right there. I'm actually looking at the page. I clicked on a link from the email. So these are the lists these are the questions that are right on the beginning, where they ask about even projected revenue. They asked about estimated revenue. So I'm not sure what you're seeing, but we can all double check at some point later. But those are some questions indeed that are there. But thank you.
Yeah, I don't see that. So
clarify.
It's all good. And now I done forgot my question. So my other question. So I'll put in the chat, or Brian, I'll just reach out.
Of course. And yes, we include a question about early on about just describing your business, and in that we ask put your revenue model in there, just like generally, are you selling online, selling at craft shows, selling wholesale, those types of things.
I've seen it.
Yeah. But again, don't be intimidated by that. Just tell us generally, like, how are you selling your products? Okay, I see Novella Myers has a hand up.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I just had a quick question. I'm sorry if I missed it, but what's the frequency of the Accelerator program? I see that the application is due to 26. Do applications open yearly? How does that work?
Yeah, so right now we're on an every other year cycle. So we did 2021, 2023, we'll likely do 2025. It's entirely based on funding. So if we get funding to do it in 2024, it'll be there. And if we don't, we're going to work on it for the next year. It's kind of an expensive program to run, so it does take a good amount of fundraising work to make it happen.
Okay, and next question. Are there any other programs on the I guess Accelerator off years that are provided for small business owners?
Yeah, Brian, do you want to jump in on that? That's Brian's purview.
Yeah, we have a ton of things that happen. So one of the most, I would say the most recurring programs that we have available outside of this specific accelerator is our free workshop series called Tools of the Trade. Those workshops are based around everything from crafting the perfect call to action to branding. We've gone over bookkeeping, where to find money for inventory purchases, other organizations that are technical assistance organizations that are like ours within the city who also offer resources like grants, loans, etc. We also have and how many retail programs that are happening right now across the city. Those are definitely avenues for just kind of selling and making money, but I think they're also good testing grounds for seeing like what products are are valuable or what's going on, or what are the needs of our current like local like economic landscape, like what are consumers liking, what are they not liking. It's good R&D for a ton of our members. Man, we also do, in the year that we take off from the program, we also do this amazing lookbook project that if any of you have any time to stop at our store at 5718 York Road, I will put one in your hand. The lookbook is an amazing opportunity for not only local retailers, but also national retailers and other sort of like locally economic focused stakeholders to see what's happening in the city, give a very polished and professional presentation of what's going on to people who are looking to bring products from Baltimore globally. So that tends to be an extremely good marketing effort for a lot of our members and a great resource for connecting not only makers to retailers, but retailers to makers, makers to production spaces and maker spaces to help scale and expand.
Okay, and last question. I know for the Accelerator program, you have to be a member. So for the events like Tools of the Trade, do you have to be a member of Made in Baltimore? Can anybody attend?
No, you do not. All you have to do is sign up for our newsletter. So that way you can get the event link or follow us on Instagram.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great questions. I love all these questions. I see Shantae and Ashley still have their hands up. Are those new questions or just hadn't put your hands down yet? Shantae, you are on mute if...
Sorry, I transferred from my tablet to my phone.
No worries.
I do have a new question because I'm doing an application. I'm going through it as we speak. Question: far as website goes, does it necessarily have to be an actual website, as in your www dot type website, or could it just be your e-commerce? Because I operate through things like Etsy and that's good. Okay.
Yep, no problem. If a website is a desire, I highly recommend, again, I'm gonna keep plugging that spring program preview. Impact Hub is running a program called Empower Baltimore that's all about helping small businesses create or enhance their websites. It's a free program. It's really great. This is their, I think, third or fourth
Impact
cohort.
Hub.
Actually. Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll be a
And
part of the preview next week.
Okay, and is that the one that was just Impact Hub? Where is that located? Is it something I can find on the Made in Baltimore website? Impact Hub.
Probably not on our website, but the link in the chat for the spring program preview has that information. They're in Station North. It's at 10 East North Avenue.
Okay, Station North. Okay.
Yeah.
And what day was that? I'm so sorry.
That is March 15th.
March 15th.
I believe it's next Wednesday, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
Yes, next Wednesday.
All right. Thank you.
Sure thing. Let's see. I saw Samantha maybe as another question.
Yes, I do. Brian, you mentioned other retail programs that you guys have. And I totally hear you on just going through the application process anyway. But one of the things I wanted to do with the boutique for 2023 is get into more retail spaces. So is that kind of what you were thinking of when you said other retail programs, like with actual stores or boutiques that you partner with to carry other local Made in Baltimore products?
Yeah, so currently at the moment we have a more like expansive retail program happening within the Hex Superette at 5718 York Road. We currently have our kiosk deployed at Center Stage downtown. Center Stage is on Calvert Street. And we also have a retail relationship with the aquarium at the moment as well. I can shoot you the email for our retail manager to see how like those things are kind of like growing, evolving, and changing. But at the moment, our primary sort of like retail program is within the Hex Superette with those two sort of alternating things.
Okay, so not because I know there are quite a few stores that are part of your organization. So I just wasn't sure if that's something that's an additional part of your program if you connect those like store owners to makers.
So we do. It's somewhat of a passive approach. So the whole idea of our vendor directory on our website is that retailers, customers, other procurement folks can view that, see the products that are made locally, and kind of reach out to the vendor directly. And a lot of retailers do use it that way. So I always highly encourage folks, make sure the profile on our website, if you're a member and you have a profile on our website, make sure it's up to date because it gets a lot of traction from those types of people. Retailers use it all the time. When retailers approach us about wanting to carry local makers, we try and help steer them in the right direction. Occasionally we will aggregate product and resell it to a retailer. It's very, very occasionally. We also are planning a number of different vending opportunities that are more event-based. Last summer, we worked with WTMD to run a makers market at their first Thursday concert series. We are planning to do that again this year, and there's a couple other kind of more festival type programs that we might be participating in, and those, of course, we'll announce via our newsletter and our social media when they are finalized.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Sure thing. I see iPad has a hand raised again.
Yeah, I had to unmute myself. Hi, it's me, Miriam again. I have a quick question, and I'm a little bit more like a teensy-tiny, almost like I'm just like at the idea stages, so please forgive me for this. So my question is, what about like, at the farmers markets, you see like people who like sell the vintage stuff out of a truck or clothes out of a schoolie, or, they have their Belgian waffles out of a, like kind of a food truck. Do people like that qualify for Made in Baltimore funding? Or are you really looking to do strictly brick and mortar, like get people into a space? Does that count as a space when you're mobile?
So Are you saying that that is a goal? Like your goal is a food truck type of operation, or are you asking if you currently have one, does that exclude you from the program?
No. I don't have anything like that. I'm just
Okay.
saying, like, you know, I've seen like the retailers like sell their clothing out of the school buses or like, you know, and I'm like, oh, that's such a cute business because you're not like committed to like, you know, brick and mortar space, but you're like on wheels. So like
Yeah.
there's a business on wheels, whether it's food or whether it's, you know, clothing or whether it's, beach bags, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if you're like in a little teeny tiny mobile thing, does that exclude you from being like a made in Baltimore kind of a, not a member, but like, does it exclude you from like the funding or possible like scaling up your business?
That's a great question. No one's asked us about that before, so I'm not sure I have a straight answer for you. But it would not disqualify you from Made in Baltimore membership. That's fine. We don't care if you're mobile or, you know, working out of a home or a cave in the mountains or whatever. But for the program, I think I would say apply anyway and talk about your plans for growth, and we'll kind of judge that as it comes. Like I said, I'm not sure I could give you a definitive answer on that you're the first person to ask about like what a food truck or mobile.
Or mobile, like, yeah, mobile retail. Okay,
Uh-huh.
thank you so much. I
Sure
appreciate
thing.
it.
Sure thing. That is the last hand that I see up. Has anyone put a question in the chat that wasn't answered, that wants to ask it out loud, or any final questions? Give folks a chance to unmute if they need to. And if not, that is totally fine. I am going to stop recording now. And as I mentioned, this recording will be available on our website in a few days. So we're stopping recording.